Project issues are unexpected events, challenges or obstacles that arise during the course of a project and have the potential to negatively impact the progress or success of the project. Unlike risks, which are potential future events that might impact the project, issues have either already happened or are certain to happen. Addressing and resolving issues in a timely and effective manner is crucial to ensuring the successful completion of a project. So we got some problems on the project, and naturally that means the project manager gets fired, right? The project has some problems, and they were anticipated, they were captured in the risk log as threats, but the risk mitigation didn't work, which means I now have to log issues. But that's fine because I'm an expert at logging issues. All project managers eventually become experts at logging issues. Things will just go wrong. Sometimes it's problems caused from within the project, sometimes it's external, and sometimes when your plan just meets reality, the expectations turn out to have been wrong. I guess what I'm saying is that whilst these things are undesirable and we should work to try to prevent situations like this from occurring, we have to be realistic. Things do go wrong, and we've got methods and tools to deal with it. And today I'm going to show you one of those tools, the issue log, and I'm going to populate it with the many problems in my project. I hope I'm exaggerating. I've got a basic issue log open at the moment, and yes, if you want to download it, there is a link in the description. The issue log has an ID number, which is really useful if I end up having to write dozens of them. And it also asks for an issue name. In this case, I'm going to give it the ominous name, Scope Unachievable. The issue I'm going to write about is regarding the scope, where I tried to get 3 courses ready by the end of the summer. Unfortunately, it turns out that's really difficult. And I was warned, Mike Clayton from Online PM Courses did say to me that I was biting off maybe a little bit more than I could chew, and turned out he was right. So in the issue description, I'm going to write a little bit about that problem. I'm selecting severity based on the impact of my project, but in your organization, that field may be linked to the organization's health rather than your project's health. So check very carefully what happens in that field. The last thing you want to do is give your CEO a fright just because your project seems to be in trouble. For priority, I've selected high because this is a high priority for me in this project. Makes sense. I'm not downplaying this one. And the resolution? Oh boy. Decision time. I need to figure out how I'm going to resolve this issue. And the way I see it, I've got 2 levers I can pull. One is I accept I'm going to have a delay and the project is going to run on for much longer to give me the time to deliver 3 courses. They won't be done by the end of the summer. Maybe they'll be done by the end of the year. I have a dependency, an outbound dependency to another piece of work because I am the resource who needs to be freed up to go and do that other work. And I can't do that on time if I'm working on these courses still for the rest of the year. The other possibility is I reduce the scope. It doesn't mean I'll never get round to doing those other courses. It just means I won't do all of the courses by the end of the summer. Maybe focus on 1 or 2. This raises an interesting strategic dilemma for me. Do I need to focus on being available in Q4 to get on with the next piece of work, which is writing the book? Or do I need to prioritize getting all of the courses ready by the end of the year? Which is most important to me? As it happens, I know the answer to that one. I'm going to focus on getting 1 course done well. That's going to be my priority, to make sure that I at least get 1 course out there that is going to be good for my students. And then I'm going to move on to the next piece of work, which is the book. And I will come back with learnings from doing the first course and apply those to how I do future courses, possibly in 2024. For the resolution, I've put to reduce the scope down to 1 course. But you may have also noticed I put a line in there about getting the scope approved. You see, we're doing this by the book. As the project manager, I don't have the authority to change the dimensions of the project. This has to go through my governance. to the sponsor, which means I've got to write a change request to myself to do that. Is that too much governance? Yes, in the case of me working for myself, yes, it is. In the case of trying to deliver this like a project that you might experience, no, it's actually appropriate. So I'll be showing you in a separate video how to write that CR to change the scope of your project. So make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that video. For target resolution, I've put the day after I've said I'm going to have a meeting with myself to get my scope change approved. And the date closure, that's left blank at the moment because it's not closed. I've got nothing to put into the history field yet because there is no history, it's a new issue. Wouldn't you know it, that's not the only issue I've got. So, now that I've said I'm going to try to just do one course, I'm confident I will have that completed by the summer. But I've learned some things that are going to change the way I'm going to release the course. I've tried my best to make a course that's going to be as good for as many people as possible. What I've discovered is there's an awful lot more involved with delivering this course than just releasing a course. There is a whole range of being set up to do sales, being set up to do marketing, to raise awareness of the course. There's a huge amount that has to be done in addition to just building the course. So I'm confident that I'll have the course built by the end of the summer. I do not think it's going to be suitable to launch immediately at the end of the summer though. I think I might need about an extra month just to promote it, raise awareness, get it out there, and figure out anything else that could go wrong. I've said I'm going to need about an extra month after the creation of the course to raise awareness. Why not do it all at the same time? Because all the constraints in the rest of my life, still have the full-time job, still have the full-time family and everything else. I just don't have the time to do it all at once. So I'm going to have to create the course, start marketing it, and then try to balance my life around that. I'm putting this one down as a minor severity because whilst it's disappointing, I haven't sold it to any customers yet. There isn't anybody who's waiting for the last day of summer for this course to be released to them. So I don't have any fulfillment obligations. I'm putting this one as a medium priority because I'm going to be so focused on that first issue and making sure that there is a course that's built, that anything else is going to be a secondary priority within this project to that issue. The resolution for this is to move the go live date to closer to October, which presents an opportunity. I might be able to put some sort of an early bird sale on there as well to see if I can attract some customers before the full launch. But because I'm changing timescales, that means I need to go back to the schedule, back to the project plan, change all of that. And if I'm changing all that and changing the dimensions of the project, once again, that's a change request. Because I'm making two changes that are fairly closely intertwined, I'm comfortable I can get away with writing one change request to cover all of the changes I'm making in these two issues. But in your case, you may not be able to do that, or you may not be comfortable to do that. For example, if I was to present these to a sponsor that wasn't me, they may say, okay, I'm happy to change the scope, but I'm not happy about the timescales, so I reject all of your CR. In which case, then I'll be stuck back at square one again with the expectation to deliver 3 projects by the end of the summer. So sometimes whilst it creates more work for you, it could be beneficial to write 2 change requests. But again, I'll come to that in the change request video. Did I mention you should subscribe so you don't miss that one? Okay, let's get back to the issue then. Again, I've set the target date for the 1st of September to resolve this issue, and I've put myself down as the reporter as I'm the person who noticed this, although looking back, it was kind of obvious this was going to happen. It's funny, I say that as a throwaway line, but that's the part that really beats up project managers during their careers, during their projects, because looking back with hindsight, it always looks obvious that these things were going to happen. But at the time, if you recall, when I started this project, it was before the summer, and the expectation was, yeah, I can make 3 courses because how hard's a course? If you think about it, you've probably seen lots of them. You think, well, how much effort really goes into them? Then you start thinking about the really good ones because you value the people who watch your content, and you think, well, okay, I'm going to make a really good course. And you just It's so easy to underestimate how much effort goes into that. And it's so easy to underestimate the effort that goes into anything. There's a psychological definition for this, I think, called the planning fallacy, where people are always overly optimistic about how much they can achieve in an amount of time. And project managers are not immune to it. In my case, I didn't have the history of doing this kind of work before, of doing something entirely new to be able to make accurate estimations. And I received that warning from Mike early in the summer, who was saying that this is an awful lot more work than you think it is. I just didn't see it. I didn't see the evidence of it until I started writing the scripts for it. And you may find yourself in a position where you're having to justify your decisions and you're having to defend poor estimations at some point. We have lessons learned to try to improve from these situations and try to learn from these situations so we don't repeat them. And I've learned so many lessons from this. So a future video is going to be all about the lessons learned blog, and I'll be sharing with you the lessons that I've learned from this project and how I've captured them. So what do I owe you now? A lessons learned video? A change request video? A risk video? Nah, already done that one, and I recommend it's the next one that you watch.